Football, rising to glory as the strongest post player. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 11. Zhao Qianbon, a native of Hebei, came to live in Liverpool with his parents 2 years ago, and then very coincidentally became the same table of Li Qing, the original owner of this body. As a result, a new question appeared in Li Qing's mind. Before crossing, he was attracted by Zhao Qianbon, who played Flower Raider, so he checked the relevant information through Baidu, and he remembered very clearly, Zhao Qianbon was born in 1987, why did this become a 00 generation? When he fell into thought, he did not forget to look at the sweet and lovely Zhao Qianbon in front of him. The current Zhao Qianbon is not as stunning as he saw before crossing, and the place where it should develop has not yet developed, but the fresh and vulgar temperament is in line with it. Zhao Qianbon was a little embarrassed by Li Qing, and couldn't help but sneer, "Li Qing, what are you staring at me for?" Li Qing's gaze came back from Zhao Qianbon, and said with a smile, "I think you are particularly good-looking today." No matter what age the girl is, she can't stand the straightforward praise of others, and Zhao Qianbon gave Li Qing a roll of her eyes. I don't want to talk to you anymore." Saying that, he sat down directly. Li Qing clearly saw that Zhao Qianbon's face was more ashamed, and his white face turned a lot redder, and then withdrew his gaze with a smile and communicated with the system why Zhao Qianbon would become his own tablemate. It turned out that this place was different from the world before he crossed it, and it belonged to a highly parallel world. Unfortunately, Zhao Qianbon became one of the few differences. After a while, Li Qing's eyes suddenly lit up. Zhao Qianbon became his beautiful tablemate, then. What about favorite female stars like Di Mei Lengba, Yang Qingchuan, Lu Ruoxi, Tang Shenbing, Gao Fengfeng, Zhu Zixia, Lu Tianxian, and Chen Minmin? P.S. You can recognize the original owner, right? Thinking of this, he didn't care that it was class time, so he quickly took out his mobile phone and searched for the information of these female stars through Google. If it's really like Zhao Qianbon's situation, if you don't accept all of them, it's unreasonable. Travel to this world, in addition to fulfilling your dreams, you also have to earn a lot of money and sleep the most beautiful girl. At the same time, Zhao Qianbon had a big puzzlement in her heart. In her impression, Li Qing was silent. Why was he still laughing and ridiculing himself today? As the saying goes, curiosity kills cats. She turned her head to look at Li Qing, who was sitting at the same table on the left, and saw Li Qing looking down and playing with his mobile phone, sometimes frowning, sometimes hiding his mouth and snickering, which made people scratch their heads. Li Qing searched for many female stars he liked in his previous life through his mobile phone, and he found that most of them were unable to search for people, that is. Those female stars who can't be searched are likely to be ordinary people in this world, like Zhao Qianbon. Perhaps, somewhere in the world, waiting for you to pursue. Suddenly, he felt a gaze on his right, so he turned his head and looked right at Zhao Qianbon's beautiful big eyes. He was stunned at first, then smiled and tapped his head, and said with a smile, "Thousand bones, what are you staring at me for?" Zhao Qianbon realized that staring at the boy was an embarrassing thing, quickly withdrew his gaze, picked up the textbook in a panic. His fair and pretty face was instantly covered with a layer of red, and snorted softly, "Look at you, a big-headed ghost. I read a book. Beauty, you took the book backwards." Li Qing also wanted to chat with Zhao Qianbon to grow his feelings, but he had no choice but to go to class when the teacher arrived, so he had to clean up his mood and prepare for class. At the end of the 40-minute lesson, Li Qing took the initiative to lean next to Zhao Qianbon. "Qianbon, do you like football?" "I don't like it very much." Zhao Qian's bones did not lift, and his eyes were always on the book. "So what do you like?" "Don't tell you." "Then let me try to guess." Li Qing thought about it and recalled the relevant information he had searched for. "You don't like any sports, right?" Zhao Qianbon's big eyes stared at Li Qing. "How do you know?" "You must know that except for her parents and younger brother, no outsiders know about it, not even her best friend." Li Qing blinked his eyes. "It seems that I didn't guess wrong." Zhao Qianbon was not used to looking at the opposite sex. Her gaze shifted, and the atmosphere was a little awkward, and suddenly she remembered that Li Qing was a little abnormal today, so she changed her tone. "Classmate Li Qing, you usually don't talk to me, why has it changed so much today?" "It's a long story, but if you want to hear it, I'll make a long story short." Zhao Qianbon glanced at the time. There were still a few minutes before the next class, and reading books was not of much use, so he tapped his head. "You know that both of my parents died 4 years ago, right?" Zhao Qianbon learned the news from his classmates, nodded repeatedly. His expression became a little serious. Li Qing looked up at the sky 45 degrees, and made a sad appearance. "A few days ago, I figured it out. Instead of living sadly in this world, it is better to be happy every day, I think. Mom and Dad in the other world want me to do the same, what do you think?" Saying that, Li Qing looked at Zhao Qianbon. Zhao Qianbon and Li Qing glanced at each other and quickly looked away, and said in a panic, "You're absolutely right, by the way." I have a race in Kirkby at the weekend and wonder if you have time. As soon as the words fell, Tom came over and said happily in a broken language, Zhao, if you want to go, I can accompany you. Tom has a good relationship with Li Qing, and likes to learn languages when he is fine. A bunch of people chasing a football kicking around, what's so good about it? Zhao Qianbon shook his head. Li Qing and Tom looked at each other, both helpless. Since the teacher came to the classroom in advance, Tom returned to his seat, and Li Qing whispered again, are you really not going to see it? Don't go. Zhao Qianbon wanted to answer nothing, but when she saw Li Qing's almost pleading eyes, she thought of Li Qing's bad life, and there were few friends around her. If she refused as a fellow tablemate, Li Qing, who had just cheered up, was likely to become the taciturn table again. As a girl, Zhao Qianbon did not directly agree. If there is no homework on the weekend, I will go. Ingwa Middle School is a little different from middle school, and there is almost no homework on weekends, which is equivalent to saying that Zhao Qianbon is a tactful agreement. So Li Qing is very excited in his heart, thinking of making a big splash in the North District League on the weekend. Episode 12. The Liverpool Academy U15 U16 echelon only has 2 half-day training days in midweek, Wednesday and Thursday afternoons, and Li Qing, as the most glorious player of the previous week, has become the focus of attention when he returns to the echelon training ground. Rhys Williams, who did not deal with Li Qing, did not come to the training ground, and according to the news he learned from Curtis Jones, he reflected for 2 weeks. Remy Savage was training alone on the other side of the training ground and seemed lonely. After the warm-up, Curtis Jones pointed to youth director Inglethorpe and U18 coach Neil Crutcherley, who came to the training ground, and whispered, Lee, they are all here to inspect you, right? Li Qing looked up, just glanced at Inglethorpe and the others, and said casually, that's natural, it's just the near future, I don't know if we will be teammates in the U18 echelon? Of course. Curtis Jones said very confidently. Li Qing's current attribute values can already occupy a starting position in the relegation teams of the 5 major European leagues, and if you just look at the core statistics, he can even play the main winger of the middle and lower reaches of the other 4 major leagues except the Premier League. But at only 15 years old, his body is not strong enough to withstand high-intensity physical confrontation, even though his body has talent, not easy to be injured. According to his idea, he will train, strong, to the passing line at the age of 16, and then continue to perform well and advance to the first team. However, his body is still quite outstanding in the U15, U16 echelon, and his performance is even more vigorous than last weekend, and the constant goals have made the opposing goalkeeper and defender doubt his life. Especially in the physical confrontation, Remy Savage was almost eaten raw by Li Qing using his body in the group confrontation match, which surprised coach Tom Kashaw. Of course, his heart was very happy. Previously, he had been worried that Li Qing's thin body could not be qualified for the higher echelon, but now it seemed that he was worried too much. Li Qing's continuous goal is also directly related to the active novice task goal he received. The mission is divided into 3 phases. The first stage mission is 100 balls, the second stage is 500 balls, the third stage is 1000 balls. Completing the first stage rewards 1 ability point and 10 gold. Completing the second stage rewards 5 ability points and 50 gold. Completing the third stage rewards 10 ability points and 100 gold, and an additional talent lottery. This task can be described as extremely simple. Goals in any environment can be counted as scores. Usually training goals are counted. The training field section of the system homepage goals are also counted, not to mention official match goals. At the same time, Tom Kashaw, the U15, U16 echelon coach, Neil Crutcherley, the U18 echelon coach, and the youth director Inglethorpe continued to communicate, obviously impressed by Li Qing's performance. Neil Crutcherley put it cleanly, Tom, Alex, I have a hunch that as long as Lee is promoted to the under-18s, I am confident that I will beat favourites Manchester City under-18s in the FA Youth Cup 1/16 final early next year. So confident? Inglethorpe was surprised that Neil Crutcherley was not a big talker, so he reminded, Lee only started to erupt last weekend. I am worried that his performance is not stable. I personally recommend observing for a while. Neil Crutcherley's determined expression became a little hesitant. Tom Kashaw was originally to develop players for the higher echelon. Once Li Qing was promoted to the U18 echelon and performed well, it was equivalent to his work being recognized, so he said, Lee used to be a talented player in the U10 U12, but due to the change in his family 4 years ago, his temperament changed greatly, and I believe he has come out of the trough. Speaking of this, Tom Kashaw looked at Neil Crutcherley and swore solemnly, Neil, with Lee, I believe that your technique and tactics will have better room for change, plus Glenn McCauley and Ryan Brewster. I believe that this season's FA Youth Cup will definitely be a problem. Inglethorpe shrugged his shoulders. He felt that young players should be gradual, and Li Qing, who is only 15 years old, is not yet suitable for the higher level U18. 2017 is just over a month away, about 2 months before the FA Youth Cup 1/16th final. Let's look at a few more games. Neil Crushally naturally had to consider the advice of his superiors, but he was still more inclined to promote Li Qing, so he said, if the performance is stable, Li I will decide. Youth director Inglethorpe sees Li Qing's performance in his eyes. As long as Li Qing's performance can continue for 2 or 3 games in this game, he can definitely enter the U18 echelon early. 4 years ago he was a genius, I think. 4 years from now, you won't be disappointed, Curtis Jones said enviously after Inglethorpe and the others left. Li, I think you'll be reporting to the U18 echelon soon. Li Qing's right hand rested on Curtis Jones' right shoulder and said modestly, don't envy, you will be promoted sooner or later. Li, you have to wait for me in the U18 echelon. Together we win the National Youth Super League and FA Youth Cup. Curtis Jones was clearly impressed by these words, his eyes were yearning, and the youth champions. Li Qing put his arm around Curtis Jones' shoulders, coughed lightly, and said with a smile, I said buddy, then you have to come on, maybe when you get to the U18 echelon, I will already participate in the Premier League. Curtis Jones' eyes were full of doubt, and Li Qing did not say more, but smiled and patted his friend's shoulder, leaving aback. It wasn't until Li Qing left the training ground that Curtis Jones reacted, and Li Qing scored goals and performed well, even better than many players in the U18 echelon, so it is very likely to cross the first team and play in the Premier League. Perhaps, what he said is not false. As the sun set, Li Qing's back was dragged for a long, long time, and Curtis Jones didn't know if he had an illusion. He felt that Li Qing's back was becoming more and more majestic. Episode 13. After the 2 days of training in the middle of the week, Li Qing returned to school, and he did not relax in the slightest after being paid attention to by the U18 echelon coach. In order to play to the higher echelon as soon as possible, he not only trained hard in reality, but also sweated in the system training ground. After school on Friday, Li Qing specially stopped the beautiful Zhao Qianbon at the same table in Chinese. Hey, thousand bones. How? Zhao Qianbon looked curiously at Li Qing, who had changed his temperament a lot. Where are you going tomorrow afternoon? Li Qing blinked mischievously. Where to? Zhao Qianji frowned slightly, contemplating. There is no place to go, maybe stay at home to accompany my cousin. Humph, you really forgot our agreement. Li Qing pretended to be unhappy. Engagement? Zhao Qianbon suddenly remembered something, his pretty face turned red, his right hand raised and gently patted his fair and smooth forehead, and said apologetically, I'm sorry, classmate Li Qing, I forgot, don't worry, tomorrow afternoon, I will definitely go to the scene. Then it's a word. Li Qing smiled and raised his right palm. Zhao Qianji was stunned for a moment and then also raised his right palm. Li Qing touched it slightly hard, and his palms touched. See you tomorrow. Zhao Qianbon looked at Li Qing's back, and suddenly felt that since the same table became sunny, it seemed to be getting more and more handsome. Her pretty face blushed slightly again, because a strange thought appeared in her mind. I must not like him, right? Thinking of this, Zhao Qianbon quickly shook his head, put this idea behind him, and constantly hinted to himself, agreeing is just hoping that he can always be optimistic and face life. At noon on Saturday, Li Qing and Curtis Jones had a sumptuous lunch in the city center and then took the subway to Kirkby Academy to prepare for the North Division League at 4 p.m. at the academy at 4 p.m. Due to Li Qing's recent outstanding performance, he has become the focus of attention of youth coaches, parents and die-hard fans since he came to the training ground. Curtis Jones looked at the crowd and pouted, I'm also a rising star in the U15, U16 echelon. Li Qing smiled and did not speak. His current goal is a higher level event. As for the U15, U16 echelon event, he really can't see it. Half an hour before the start of the game, Li Qing saw Tom, some classmates, and a little embarrassed Zhao Qianbon in the crowd, and next to Zhao Qianbon, there was a beautiful woman who was beautiful. Looking at it, his appearance was half a point more beautiful than Zhao Qianbon. Eileen, isn't this Tong Shenbing? Thinking that this was a highly parallel world, he clenched his fists excitedly. This? Meaning, can soak. Zhao Qianbon saw Li Qing coming over, took the initiative to take 2 steps forward, and greeted with a smile. Hello classmate Li Qing. Hello, Zhao Qianbon. Li Qing's gaze quickly returned from Tong Shenbing to Zhao Qianji standing in front of him, and waved his hand very enthusiastically. As for Tom and the other classmates, he automatically ignored them and just said hello casually. Immediately, he looked at the beautiful Tong Shenbing behind Zhao Qianbon. This is my cousin, Tong Shenbing, a freshman at the University of Manchester, who came to play with me on weekends, and it just so happens that she also likes football, so I will take her to watch your game. Zhao Qianbon hurriedly introduced the two. Cousin, this is my tablemate, Li Qing, Chinese. Li Qing looked at Tong Shenbing and greeted enthusiastically, wow, cousin is so beautiful. Zhao Qianbone couldn't help but glared at Li Qing, a little displeased, and thought, am I not beautiful? In fact, for Li Qing, who crossed over, whether it was Zhao Qianbone or Tong Shenbing, he liked it very much, but now it is obvious that Tong Shenbing, who is a freshman, is more attractive, so he has no extra mind to pay attention to the change in Zhao Qianbone's expression. Li Qing is handsome, polite, and the key speech is good, Tong Shenbing said with a smile. Li Qing, I heard my cousin say that you play very well. It seems that your mental state is very good. I don't know if I will score today. Hey, there are two beautiful women watching me play, less to contribute hat tricks, right? Li Qing's right hand coquettishly stroked the bangs in front of his forehead, patting his chest to assure. It's not a good habit for children to talk big. Tong Shenbing said jokingly, and then turned to Zhao Qianbone and said, cousin, you said yes? Zhao Qianbone had long been a little dissatisfied with Li Qing's gaze always floating on her cousin, and at this time, her little woman's mind was fully revealed, and she snorted coldly, that's it, classmate Li Qing, you should still be down to earth. Li Qing shrugged his shoulders and said, I didn't say anything big, don't believe we made a bet? Bet? What bet? Zhao Qianbone blurted out. Tong Shenbing did not speak, but his eyes were on Li Qing, full of curiosity. Li Qing rolled his eyes and said slyly to the two women, if I stage a hat trick, you two have to have one to be my girlfriend? How? Zhao Qianbone and Tong Shenbing turned red at the same time, not expecting that Li Qing would take this as a bet, so the two pairs of beautiful big eyes glared at Li Qing in tacit. Li Qing said seriously, didn't you decide that it was impossible for me to perform a hat trick? The older Tong Shenbing looked at the confident Li Qing and held his proud head high. What if you didn't perform a hat trick? Li Qing grinned. Can I understand that, cousin? Are you betting with me? Humph. Tong Shenbing snorted lightly. What about promising to bet against you? Speak as if you can put on a hat trick, cousin. Zhao Qianbone pulled Tong Shenbing, who said in a low voice, Qianbone, although I don't know his specific level, but I know where the upper limit of our players is, even if he is Chinese, rest assured, win steadily, but Zhao Qianbone can be said to know nothing about football, and this bet is very boring, and he is a little reluctant in his heart, but his cousin Tong Shenbing is playful, and she directly said to Li Qing, say, what if you lose? Sent by cousin Renlao, how? Tong Shenbing's delicate and white right hand pinched his chin and said in a deep voice, then don't worry about it. Hey, Li Qing said with a smile, who loses is not certain. Episode 14, Tong Shenbing watched Li Qing return to the team, and always felt as if something was wrong. The teams participating in the England U16 North Division League are all youth teams from the Premier League, so the gold content is very high, and the players want to score a hat trick. The difficulty factor is quite high. Thinking of Tong Shenbing here gradually took a breath. But when the game went through the second minute, I had to hold my breath because Li Qing used his outstanding personal skills to receive a pass from Curtis Jones in the box, and then scored 3 low-shot shots in a row, helping Liverpool U15 U16 to open the scoring team. His teammates were excited one by one, while the opponents were grief-stricken. Cousin, classmate Li Qing is really powerful. Zhao Qianbone looked at Tong Shenbing worriedly amid the many shouts. Tong Shenbing coughed lightly, and his face did not change color. The game has just begun. I believe that the other party has not yet found the state. I believe that with the game breaking the deadlock, it will be difficult for your table to find opportunities again. In fact, in her heart, she was a little panicked. Because judging from the goal just now, Li Qing's body and technique are much stronger than his peers. It's just that. When did we Huaxia people produce such a powerful young player? Although it is said that it is a second-generation Chinese, how can it be so perverted? When Tong Shenbing's IK was too empty, Li Qing received a pass from his teammate again. The audience subconsciously erupted into a huge cheer, as if a goal had been scored. I saw Li Qing pick up his right foot on the line of the big penalty area, and the two players defending in the front subconsciously made a defensive action to fall to the ground, but Li Qing did not shoot, but quickly put down his right foot, used his toes to pick the football up, and kicked his left foot to the ground, and the whole person rose up with the football and jumped over from the two defensive players who fell to the ground. Oh, the audience, including Tong Shenbing, instinctively exclaimed, applauding Li Qing's wonderful breakthrough. Meanwhile, the Newcastle echelon manager angrily threw a punch forward to express his displeasure with the defenders. After landing on the ground, Li Qing, who was attracting attention from the audience, looked up at the goalkeeper and picked up his right foot. The main goalkeeper of Newcastle's U16 echelon has no teammates in front of him, and in the face of Li Qing's starting feet, he subconsciously pounced on the right side of his body. It's just that he regretted his actions as soon as he made them, because Li Qing's shot was just a fake move, in order to force him to make the first move. The next thing was already very simple for Li Qing. The outer instep of the right foot swept the ball away at an angle, the arch of the foot gently pushed, and the football rolled to the empty door with the turf that was not too good quality. Li Qing, who scored 2 yuan in just 5 minutes, did not seem too excited, but usually high-fived his teammates to celebrate the goal. Tong Shenbing, who was standing in the audience seat, looked at Li Qing, who seemed to have no emotional fluctuations, and suddenly felt that she was tricked by my cousin's tablemate. The opening 5 minutes scored twice, that hat-trick, it seems. Not far away. Zhao Qianbon is very simple, she was influenced by the fans and parents next to her, constantly clapping her palms, creating cheering for the same table with everyone, and once had a strong interest in football. It wasn't until Li Qing's meaningful gaze met him that his face turned red, remembering the gambling contract he had made earlier. Although she doesn't know much about football, she has a cousin who loves football, and she knows that 3 goals in a single game is extremely difficult, but she didn't expect it. His own tablemates, so fiercely. Linglethorpe, Liverpool's academy manager, turned to under-18 coach Neil Qing and said, "It seems that this stage of the tournament is no longer of training value for Li. Hey, can I understand that you have agreed to my proposal to promote Li to U18? Neil Qing said with a smirk. Inglethorpe clasped his hands to his chest, his eyes focused on Li Qing, who was ready to restart the ball. Li Qing's 2 goals were like probing, he suddenly changed his previous opinion, and felt something, perhaps. Under 18 can't put pressure on him either. Neil Qing looked at Li Qing, who was playing with ease, suspiciously, won't it? Previously, Inglethorpe did not agree to promote Li Qing to the U18, why did he change his mind so quickly now? Neil, we'll see. Inglethorpe said with a faint smile. Pay attention to this game. In addition to Liverpool and Newcastle youth coaches, there are also many scouts who heard the news, looking at Li Qing, who played well. The pen in his hand constantly recorded Li Qing's technical characteristics in the book. Strong physical fitness, fast speed, significantly higher foot skills than his peers, excellent combination of people and balls, superb shooting, extremely calm in front of goal. The game resumed, and Li Qing, who had already contributed 2 goals, became the focus of his opponents, but his physical fitness was clearly advantageous at the peer level, coupled with the absolute advantage of technique and speed at his feet. Newcastle echelon defenders could only suppress Li Qing's forward advance through fouls. Nevertheless, in the 16th minute, Li Qing scored a hat-trick as Liverpool U16 extended the score to 3 goals through a grab from inside the box. Li Qing, who scored the goal, did not immediately high-five his teammates to celebrate the goal, but turned to look at Tong Shenbing and Zhao Qianbon, and raised 3 fingers. Tong Shenbing and Zhao Qianbon's approach was very unified, and they both quickly didn't overdo it, as if they were looking for something. Li Qing felt a hint of something bad. Shouldn't they be playing tricks? As it turned out, his hunch was good. At the end of the first half, Li Qing scored 5 yuan alone and contributed an assist to help the team take a 6-1 lead, but when he looked up in the direction where Tong Shenbing and Zhao Qianbon were originally located, he was stunned. In the direction where the two were originally located, in addition to Tom and the fans, classmates, and parents who cheered, where was Qianying? Episode 15, Liverpool and Newcastle's England Under-15 U16 Northern Division League was finally 10-1. And Li Qing contributed 7 goals and 2 assists, which is equivalent to saying. Li Qing dominated the game that should have been at a level between Boisjong. Echelon coach Tom Kashaw has become a little complicated, but under-18 manager Neil Qing and youth director Inglethorpe are very happy. Although Li Qing is only 15 years old at present, his ability is obviously several chips higher than his peers, and if he continues to play at the U18 level, he is very likely to be promoted by first-team manager Jurgen Klopp to play in the Premier League. Inglethorpe walked up to Tom Kashaw, and then patted him on the shoulder meaningfully. Tom, don't wait until the beginning of next year, let Li go to U18 next week. Can you wait until next year? Each echelon has a mandate to play, and the U15 U16 echelon that currently wins the tournament are 6th in the North Division, 3 short of the preseason pledge, and if Li Qing can stay with the team until the end of the year, he is confident of winning streak. Where did Inglethorpe, as a youth director, not know what Tom Kashaw thinks? He said with a smile, I will give you full points in advance for this season's youth points. How? Tom Kashaw was ecstatic in his heart, although he had the idea of Li Qing going up for a long time, but people are selfish, and he wants to keep Li Qing for 1 more month for youth points. Now Inglethorpe takes the initiative to give full marks. Where is the reason to disagree? Besides, isn't youth training just about making blood for the first team? So Tom Kashaw quickly nodded and agreed, of course. Immediately, he turned to his colleague Neil Qing and said, Congratulations, presumably this season you can lead the team to win the FA Youth Cup after a decade of absence, right? Neil Qing was in a very good mood, but he did not say death, but said in a more low-key manner, if Li can play well, without saying the championship, the Final Four will not run. The last time Liverpool U18 won the FA Youth Cup was in the 2006-2007 season before the restructuring, and if it can win the title, It will show that Liverpool's youth academy is not inferior to the world-famous Manchester City duo and Chelsea's youth academy. Not long after, Inglethorpe, Tom Cashaw and Neil Crutchley walked to Li Qing, who was sullen with his mobile phone, and he was curious, could it be that Li Qing was not satisfied with contributing 7 goals and 2 assists in one game? He was very pleased to think of this. If it was an ordinary player, he would definitely be ecstatic about this, but Li Qing was not satisfied. What does this mean? It shows that Li Qing has a stronger heart. Li Qing, who texted Zhao Qianbon with his mobile phone from time to time, saw the coach come over, quickly put away his mobile phone, and asked Tom Cashaw curiously, "Mr. Coach, is something wrong?" Tom Cashaw looked at Inglethorpe, who smiled and stretched out his right hand. "Introduce yourself first. I am Alex Inglethorpe, the director of Cockerby College." "Hello, Mr. Alex." Li Qing squeezed it gently, calm, and even faintly revealed a hint of curiosity. "Is there something wrong with me?" In fact, he was very excited in his heart, but he was forcibly suppressed. At this time, the youth training director took the initiative to find, in addition to promoting the U18 echelon, what else will happen. In this instant, Inglethorpe's judgment of Li Qing was a little higher, and he suddenly had a premonition that Li Qing's future achievements would definitely be limitless. "Congratulations." Inglethorpe patted Li Qing's right shoulder hard. "Go directly to U18 next week to report." Li Qing didn't react, but his friend Curtis Jones was excited and ecstatic. "Li, you're going to participate in the FA Youth Cup. That's cool. Our dream is about to come true." Countless rising stars shine through the FA Youth Cup and then promoted to the first team, and have been famous all over the world ever since. Far like Fowler, Carragher, Gerrard and Irving, and close like Sterling, Arnold, Woodburn, Harry Wylerson, this is what Curtis Jones yearns for. Li Qing ignored the overly excited Curtis Jones, and he nodded his head to the 3 of Inglethorpe. "Yes, sir." When Inglethorpe, Tom Cashaw and Neil Crutchley left, Curtis Jones was still excited. He excitedly put his arm around Li Qing's shoulder, and asked curiously, "How do I feel that you are not very happy to be promoted to the U18 echelon? What's to be happy about?" Li Qing shrugged his shoulders. After that, he took out his mobile phone and said in Chinese as he walked, "Qianbon-san, you and your cousin are also too unkind, right? Say a good bet." Before the words fell, a huge figure suddenly appeared in front of him. His feet were sluggish, and he subconsciously looked up, only to see a middle-aged fat man looking at himself with a grin. Out of instinct, he asked curiously, "You are?" Looking at the fat man in front of him, there was a familiar feeling, as if he had seen it somewhere. I saw that the fat man took out a business card from his suit pants and introduced himself. "Mino Raiola, professional football agent." Li Qing's pupils shrank. No wonder this person's eyes are familiar. It turns out to be a fat puller who has not been flattering in European football in recent years. Episode 16. Li Qing looked at Raiola, raised his eyebrows, and faintly guessed something. "Why are you looking for me?" "I'm a professional football agent. As far as I know, you don't seem to have signed any licensing contract with any professional agent, and I want to be your agent and plan your future successful career." Raiola said very self-hilar, completely ignoring Li Qing's gradually disgusted eyes, and said to himself, "Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Paul Pogba, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Gianluigi Donnarumma, have you heard of this? They're all signed players under my banner. As long as you become my player, I will do everything I can to plan your career and become a superstar like Paul Pogba and Zlatan Ibrahimovic." In the end, Raiola's fat face bloomed with a proud smile, staring at Li Qing with both eyes, waiting for the other party to reply. He is quite confident in his charisma, with so many top stars who have become famous, and the performance is there. Even adult players will be moved, let alone a minor who is not deeply involved in the world. In his previous life, Li Qing, who was a fan, had naturally heard of the name Raiola, and his agent business ability could definitely rank in the top 3 in the world, but his reputation was too smelly, and his behavior was unpleasant, even disgusting. In order to earn huge commissions, he constantly encourages his players to transfer. The means are extremely diverse, and he is insatiable, and all these behaviors once angered Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola, who once said in an interview with the media that as long as Raiola signs players, his team will not want them. This shows how annoying Raiola is. However, his position in the eyes of the players' customers is still good, but Li Qing does not have a good impression of him, so he handed back the business card that Raiola handed over earlier. Raiola's face changed slightly, and she frowned. "Boy, you?" Li Qing shrugged and said, "I don't want to be your signatory." Raiola was speechless to Li Qing's answer, but he still wanted to fight for it again, just like he fought for De Ligt back then, so he showed a smile that he thought was the most amiable. "Boy, maybe you have a misunderstanding of me, but you must believe in my professional vision and morality. You are Leo Messi in my eyes, as long as you sign a licensing agreement with me." Li Qing interrupted Raiola's tirade without embarrassment. "Let me tell you this, I am an apprentice at best, and I have not yet reached the career path. so I have no plans to sign an agent at present, understand? Do you really stop thinking about it? Raiola can be said to be a big celebrity in world football, many Liverpool fans recognized. For this notorious agent, Liverpool fans hate it from the bottom of their hearts. They are looking forward to Li Qing's future, but they can't be seduced by Raiola early and become a shooting star. So there are burly fans waving their fists and insulting Raiola. Isn't this an insatiable fat puller? Guys, come and see, it's indeed the fat pig who recognizes money. Get out. Kirkby doesn't welcome your kind of rubbish. How far to roll? Beware of uncle with imported big bananas. Want to harm our future? There are no doors. Boy, you can call me when you change your mind, it's all there 24 hours a day. England is rich in football hooligans, and Raiola is really afraid that these burly men will flock to it, so he stuffed his business card in Li Qing's bag and immediately left the Kirkby Academy. I have to say that La Fat is still a very dedicated football agent, but unfortunately, some of his methods are disgusting. Watching Raiola leave, Li Qing thanked the Liverpool fans who were relieved and satisfied the group photo of the fans, which also gave him some feeling of being a celebrity. After the end of the North Zone League, Li Qing did not leave, but stayed in the training ground to practice. Curtis Jones knows that his friend will be reporting from the U18 next week, and he doesn't know when the next time they play together, so he rarely stays to practice. Inglethorpe and Neil crutchily saw Li Qing and Curtis Jones stay and practice together, and they both nodded their heads with satisfaction. To become a professional footballer, talent alone is not enough, lack of hard work, even talent like Messi is limited achievements. Some die-hard Liverpool fans who haven't left yet are thinking, perhaps, the genius that belongs to Liverpool will soon be born. Information spread very quickly in the 21st century, and as soon as the U15-U16 Northern League between Liverpool and Newcastle ended, social networking platforms Twitter and INS appeared a video highlight of Li Qing's killing, which quickly attracted a lot of attention. When did the strength of the U15-U16 Echelon Northern Zone League become so disparity? Who was Liverpool's number 19? Too fierce, right? Oh my god. Incredible performance. 7 goals alone? 2 more assists? Where is KOP? Hi together? 16-year-old Leo Messi, that's all, right? The video posted on Twitter and INS soon featured thousands of fan comments. Li Qing's great power in the U15-U16 North Zone League has not only been hotly discussed on the internet, but also has many scouts active on social networks, so he is ready to move. Scouts sent by several Premier League teams are also reporting to their superiors. What is most lacking in the 21st century? Talent. Young players who show amazing talent like Li Qing are even rarer, and the most important thing is that these scouts found that Li Qing is a Ingwe nationality, which is equivalent to having a household registration book. Such a player, I am afraid that any English club will rush to ask for it. In addition, the staff hired by Scouting 7 also put Li Qing's highlights into the data system, so as to provide them to the members of the clubs in various countries that use the data system. Scouting 7 is a scouting data analysis system developed by Lee Jamieson in 2001, which provides data on more than 500,000 players around the world, has millions of minutes of football game video, and more than 200 clubs around the world are Scouting 7 customers. Li Qing, who was still practicing, did not know that he had gradually become a fragrant existence. Episode 17. Li Qing, who is not yet 16 years old, returned to the study week after the competition day, and his school time has dropped greatly compared to the U15-U16 echelon. On the contrary, the training time went up in a straight line. His training time has changed from the afternoon of each week to Wednesday and Thursday, which means that he only has 3 days left to study Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, and the other 4 days have to go to the Kirkby Academy for systematic training. Of course, rising to the U18 echelon at the age of 15 has shown that Li Qing has enough strength to become a professional player, and does not need to rely on culture to make a living in the future, but the youth academy has relevant rules, and the academic performance of young players still has to be assessed, and homework must be completed, but the quantity and quality have decreased to a certain extent. Getting back to business, Li Qing, who returned to the Blue E Middle School on Monday, smiled, slowly sat next to Zhao Qianbon, who was used to coming to the classroom early, and said with his most charming smile, "Classmate Qianbon, going against the grain is not the behavior that a good student should have." Zhao Qianbon, who came to the classroom early for self-study, put down the book, also showed a smile, and said to Li Qing lightly with the words she had already thought of, "Classmate Li Qing, it's not me who promised to bet against you. If you want to find it, find my cousin, it has nothing to do with me." In the end, Zhao Qianbon had a sly smile on his face. Li Qing was immediately dumbfounded. "However, you didn't object. No objection is consent?" Zhao Qianbon's bright eyes stared at Li Qing. Li Qing is not a fool, of course, he knows that not opposing is not equivalent to agreeing, so he is very speechless. He knew that Zhao Qianbone, who was clever in ice and snow, wanted to get rid of it. However, he is not depressed because there is also Tong Shenbing, who promised to gamble. Compared with Zhao Qianji of the same age, Tong Shenbing, who is already 18 years old, is obviously more attractive. Suddenly, he remembered that Liverpool's U18 Youth FA Cup had successfully advanced to the round of 32, and the opponent in the January 16 final was Manchester City U18, and the draw was an away sign, which is equivalent to saying that he will travel to Manchester, the second most prosperous city in the country, with Liverpool U18 in January next year. The city where Manchester City U18 is located is the location of Manchester City University, where Tong Shenbing studied. Hey. The corners of Li Qing's mouth rose slightly, and his face couldn't help but show a silver smile. As if to say, Zhao Shenbing, come to the bowl quickly. At 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning, Li Qing arrived at the Kirkby Training Academy half an hour earlier, and today became a little special compared to the previous feeling. U18 is the most important stop for promotion to the senior team. As long as he continues to play well, he will be favored by the senior team, so as to go to a higher stage, representing Liverpool's first team in the Premier League and even the Champions League. In the 12th round of the 2016 to 2017 Premier League season, Liverpool finished second in the Premier League with 8 wins, 3 draws and 1 defeat and 27 points, only 1 point behind the leaders Chelsea, so the team has a good chance of participating in next season's Champions League under Klopp. Half an hour in advance to the U18 Echelon training ground, the stadium is not yet empty. Li Qing changed his shirt and pants and shoes and jogged around the stadium to warm up and stretch his muscles. Until he held the football for ball training, no one came to the training ground. It was not the players who came, but the U18 head coach Neil Crutcherley and 2 assistants Mike Goretti and Oliver Morgan, of which Mike Goretti is the training assistant. Oliver Morgan is a sports scientist and a strength and conditioning coach, who is responsible for arranging scientific training with Mike Goretti. Neil Crutcherley nodded his head with satisfaction, and his love for Li Qing was getting higher and higher. With such a talented player still training, what is the reason not to succeed? He has a hunch that before the end of the 2016 to 2017 season, Li Qing may be promoted to the first team by Klopp. Thinking of this, he was taken aback by his own thoughts. It's true that Li Qing is talented and hardworking, but his physical condition doesn't seem to be enough to cope with first-team matches. But the FA Youth Cup and the Youth National Super League are still more than enough. After all, Li Qing is still underage, and it is not good for him to participate in the professional league too early. It's just that Neil Crutcherley doesn't know that Li Qing can't wait to participate in the Premier League. In addition to not being physically strong enough, Li Qing's winger attributes are fully qualified for a substitute position at Liverpool. Near 9:30, the U18 Echelon members came to the training ground one after another. Li Qing performed well during this time, became a big red in the youth academy, and even once rumored that head coach Neil Crutcherley said that with Li Qing, he could easily cross the hurdle of Manchester City, which caused some players in the team to be dissatisfied with Li Qing. Does it take a 15-year-old Chinese to advance to the last 16 of the FA Youth Cup? What international joke. Glenn McCauley, who joined Cockerby from St Joseph's Boys in Ireland early last year, was Liverpool's prolific goalscorer in the 2016 to 2017 National Premier League season, and even overshadowed homegrown talent goalscorer Ryan Brewster at one point, who said coldly, "U18 is not that easy. Want to lead us to the top 16? Is it eligible?" Dutch-Nigerian midfielder Bobby Adkinai patted Glenn McCauley on the shoulder with a smile, but his eyes looked at Li Qing and said with a smile, "Glenn, Asians are not qualified, don't worry, I will let him know what the gap is in the next training." Li Qing, who was jogging with the ball, felt that someone was looking at him, so he looked up, and he happened to glance at Glenn McCauley and Bobby Adkinai. Out of instinct, he smiled sincerely. But Glenn McCauley and Bobby Adkinai were both quick to stop overlooking, with cold faces, and dragged like a 258,000. It seems a little unfriendly. Li Qing Xiaoxing said a sentence and started dribbling and running again. There is hostility towards Li Qing, naturally there will be a good impression, and Ryan Brewster, who was promoted to U18 last year, admires Li Qing very much. Of course, more players are on the sidelines. The football field is like that, as long as you show convincing strength, everyone will look up to you a few points. Li Qing naturally didn't know what his new teammates thought, but he knew that in the new team, he had to show the strength that was superior to his teammates, otherwise. How do you continue to skip the level? Episode 18, oh my god. It's so fast, this technology? Disastrous, what a fucking calm in front of the door. After a training session, most of the U18 teammates completely changed their views on Li Qing. especially those who took a wait-and-see attitude and took the initiative to chat with Li Qing during the break. Brewster is very smart. He knows that Li Qing mainly plays on the wing, and he is the center, which is equivalent to saying that the two have no direct competition. Since there is no competition, the positions do not overlap, and they can complement each other, then. Totally friends. Li, here you go. Li Qing looked up and looked at Brewster with some surprise. Accident to accident, hand reaction is very fast. He smiled and took the mineral water. Lien, thank you. You're welcome. Brewster naturally sat on the grass next to Li Qing, supporting the turf with both hands, adjusting his breathing, obviously tired from the training session just now. I really don't know what to say. Suddenly, a yin and yang strange voice reached Li Qing and Brewster's ears. Li Qing frowned and looked, only to see the black and white pair Poppy Adekanai and Glenn Macaulay standing 2 meters in front of him, staring at him condescendingly, raising his eyebrows, and asked displeased, "What do you mean?" Adekanai said coldly, "Don't think that scoring 7 goals in the U15, U16 age group of the North Zone League is not as simple as you think." Where does Li Qing still not know what the other party means? Get things done. Before he could speak, Brewster took the lead in speaking. "Poppy, I advise you to be kind. Li's ability is much stronger than yours. Instead of wasting his tongue, it is better to put in more sweat training, otherwise. Your position is not as stable as it used to be. You." Adekanai was speechless for a while, and Glenn Macaulay, who is a popular striker this season, said, "You grab the starting striker from me before you talk. This day will be fast." Brewster glanced at Glenn Macaulay with contempt. He is extremely confident in his talent and ability, and his failure to occupy the starting center is largely due to his lack of confrontation, and he firmly believes that as he gets older and strengthens, Glenn Macaulay will definitely become his backup. I don't know that the so-called people and people who talk a lot have no future. Glenn Macaulay smiled and said to Adkanai, "Poppy, let's go," so as not to be infected. At the same time, Li Qing heard a prompt tone from the system, ding. As the owner of the Green Legend system, how can he be reduced to the object of irony for small characters? Replace Bobby Adekanai as the starting winger with your performance. Mission reward, reward ability value 5 points, 10 gold. Failure penalty, randomly erase a talent. Brewster saw Li Qing's brows furrowed, and said carefully, "Li, don't think about it, these players from foreign countries are like this, they like to compete with us local players." Li Qing finally knew why Adekanai rejected himself so much. It turned out that this Nigerian-born Dutch youth international was in the famous Ram Asia before coming to Cockby, and the position happened to overlap with himself, no wonder. However, this Adekanai is a big good person for Li Qing, but a sarcasm inspires passive tasks, although the reward is not too rich, but the 5-point ability value can definitely make his confrontation ability go to another level. Through realistic training and system training, his strength value has reached 50 points, and the 5 ability points obtained by completing the task can be added to the strong, when the time comes. The Premier League is getting closer. Thinking of this, he muttered in the direction of Adekanai, "What a good man." "What good man?" Brewster asked puzzled. "Li Qing, huh? Did I just speak?" "No, right, Brewster?" The main purpose of the first training session is to warm up the players' bodies, the second training session is a training session with the ball, and the 40-minute group confrontation is played in the afternoon. Li Qing's speed and strong scoring ability inside chose to place it in the fluorescent vest that symbolized the main side. Brewster was placed on the opposite blue vest, and Glenn Macaulay and Adkanai were also placed on the fluorescent vest. This arrangement made Li Qing a little surprised and depressed, but he wanted to blast it opposite Adekanai to establish the starting position of the U18 echelon. Glenn Macaulay and Adkanai were also surprised. In their opinion, Li Qing, who has just been promoted to the U18, should start as a substitute. How can he directly enter the main side? So, Li Qing raised his right hand in the puzzlement of everyone. Neil Crushery, the head coach who had just finished dividing the team, changed his voice. "Li, is something wrong? Mr. Coach, I want to go to the blue square." Neil Crushery raised his eyebrows and showed displeasure, and no one could override or interfere with the absolute power of the head coach in the division of players. "I need a reason." Li Qing had already thought of a reason, and he pointed to Brewster and said, "I have just arrived at U18, and I am more familiar with Lien, and I will have a more tacit understanding with it." Neil Crushery is not an old-fashioned coach, he is good at empathy. Li Qing and Brewster on the same side can integrate into the team faster, so he nodded his head. "You switch with Rafael." Rafael Camacho, who had just received the blue vest, was very happy to exchange the fluorescent vest with Li Qing, and showed the 2 rows of white and flawless teeth, and said with a smile, "Li, you are such a good person. The 14th round of the National Youth Super League is just around the corner, and as long as you perform well on the emblematic team, you will have a good chance of starting at home to Middlesbrough at the weekend." Li Qing. At the same time, Glenn McLeay and Adkanai looked at each other tacitly and smiled proudly. Originally, they thought that if they were on the same team with Li Qing, they would be isolated, but now when they came to the opposite side, it would be much simpler. Direct attack suppression. See how else you behave. Episode 19. Li Qing had conquered most of his teammates in the morning training session, but as an opponent in the group confrontation, he did not release the water at all, but gave 100% effort, so Li Qing, who had not adapted to the rhythm of U18 training at the beginning of the game, was quickly put down after receiving the football. Boy, you are not suitable for playing U18, let's go back to the children's class next door. Ian and Young's strange voice, no need to guess that it is Adkanai. Li Qing chose to stand up casually, and then patted the grass clippings on his body. Adkanai was very dissatisfied with Li Qing's disregard, and immediately released a cruel word, you are waiting on the right side to be abused, idiot. This time, Li Qing did not endure it and blurted out. You say it again? Adkanai, who was born in La Masia, was full of superiority, but he didn't expect Li Qing to dare to talk back, and the anger immediately came, and he quickly walked to Li Qing and said angrily. Idiot. Li Qing glanced at Adkanai contemptuously and repeated what he had just said. Nearby teammates sensed the obvious smell of gunpowder, and Brewster crossed in front of Li Qing and pushed Adkanai away with both hands. Poppy, what do you mean? If you want to fight, follow me, it has nothing to do with you, get out of the way for Lao Tzu. Adkanai wanted to push Brewster away to find trouble with Li Qing, who was 1 meter and 7 meters tall, but the other teammates did not ignore it, and they separated the two with their bodies. Ian Berrigan, the coach in charge of the penalty game, also reacted quickly, blew a sharp whistle, and shouted at Adkanai, if you don't want to play, go down and rest, don't be embarrassed here. Head coach Neil Crutcherly and assistant coach Mike Garrity also ran into the field to educate Adkanai and Li Qing. Li Qing spread his hands innocently, indicating innocence. Adkanai can be unscrupulous in front of Li Qing, but it is absolutely impossible in front of the coach. A minute later, Glenn McCauley patted Adkanai on the shoulder and whispered, Poppy, don't get angry, stick to our main left-wing train of thinking and blast the damn guy, see how he behaves. Adkanai glared at the thin Li Qing, reached out and patted Glenn McCauley back, and nodded his head, I know. Neil Crutcherly is troubled by looking at the seemingly natural feud between Li Qing and Adkanai, who in his opinion is an important piece for Liverpool under-18s to go further this season, but Adkanai is also very useful. However, there is no choice, and Li Qing, who has more talent and effort, is naturally selected. Of course, as an experienced youth coach, he can't let things deteriorate. Young people, it's normal to be angry, just a little guidance. The game resumed. Harvey White drove a set piece in front, the ball flew to the right rib of the box, and Brewster, who was stuck in position, forced George Johnstone to complete the header as he stepped back. The football flew right in front of Li Qing, who was running forward, and Adkanai, who was focused on Li Qing, quickly stepped forward to defend, especially after seeing Li Qing swing his right foot and prepare for a non-stop volley. In addition, two defenders in yellow vests in front of Li Qing put their hands behind him and tried to join forces with Adkanai to block Li Qing's shot. I saw that the corners of Li Qing's mouth rose slightly, and the right foot that was raised did not kick the falling football. Let's not talk about whether the right foot is a non-dominant foot, there is a humanoid wall in front of you, how to kick in. Li Qing was very calm, using the instep of his right foot to lightly pull the football to the left side. Adkanai and the two defenders suddenly panicked, and they were affected by inertia as they tried their best to block, and could only watch Li Qing adjust his steps and complete a left-footed shot only about 15 meters away from the goal. Boom! The crisp sound of the instep hitting the football reached Adkanai's ears, and the ball rushed like a cannonball out of the crowd to the top left corner of the goal. Goalkeeper Camille Grabera watched the football that appeared in the gap give up resistance, and turned his head to stare until the football fell from the snow-white net. At the same time, Li Qing heard a prompt tone from the system, ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the second stage of the goal mission, which rewards 5 ability points and 50 gold. It turned out that he had unknowingly scored 499 goals on the real training ground, system training ground in games, and with this goal in the account, 500 goals were completed. That's great. Completing this mission, the 5 ability points and 50 gold coins awarded are quite crucial for him. The strength of 50 is not outstanding enough. If you add these 5 ability points, the physical confrontation can definitely go to another level. Head coach Neil Crutcherly, who was sitting under the awning, was still having a headache about the relationship between Li Qing and Adkanai, and suddenly saw Li Qing's calm pick of the ball and his left foot angry shot to break the goal, subconsciously stood up and blurted out, beautiful. Brewster, who sent the assist, curiously patted Li Qing, who scored the goal without much emotional fluctuation. Hey Li, why didn't the goal react? Only then did Li Qing come to his senses, and said with a smile, Such a goal is normal for me, hey. Brewster is like being hit by 10,000 points, the Tiger's body is shocked. Li Qing's goal just now can be described as wonderful, the skill is shocking, such a goal, is it normal? Blowing right? Other teammates congratulated Li Qing one after another, because this goal is a classic from every angle. In the process of walking back, Li Qing glanced at Adkanai contemptuously. Adkanai felt insulted and angry. Glenn Macaulay reacted very quickly, he stopped Adkanai and said in a deep voice, "Poppy, don't be impulsive, this game has just begun, wait for us to attack, see what he does." Episode 20. Li Qing put the conversation between Glenn Macaulay and Adkanai into his ears word for word. If he had completed the second stage, goal, task, he might have hesitated, but now it's different. The system rewards 50 gold coins, and you can take out 10 gold coins to buy 2 copper wall iron wall cards. Copper wall iron wall card. After use, the defensive ability value is increased to 80, and the time limit is 30 seconds. Before the game resumed, Li Qing's mind moved. In addition to purchasing 2 copper wall cards in the mall, he also added all the 5 ability points of the reward to strong, bringing the value to 55 points. As soon as the ability value was added, his limbs felt a gentle electric current passing through quickly, which was extremely comfortable, and after about 3 seconds, the muscle strength he felt was even stronger. This feeling, it's so good. The blue side was led by Li Qing's goal, and every player in the fluorescent vest side that symbolized the main force was very unhappy, because each of them was obviously stronger in their individual strength and overall strength than the blue vest side, and it was in this situation that they were all desperate to equalize the score in the next attack. The National Youth Super League weekend kicks off at Corkby, and if the group game is not well performed, even the absolute main player is likely to be removed from the starting lineup. With 2 or 3 passes, the football comes to the attacking left, that is, at the feet of Adkanai, and left-back George Johnstone runs forward against the touchline. Li Qing is a blue square right winger, right opposite Adkanai. Corey Huilon is afraid of George Johnstone's back insertion, and some love cannot help. Defender Harvey White wanted to work with Li Qing to defend Adkanai with good breakthrough ability, but Coyle's running forced him to focus on positional defense. In other words, in the process of the rapidly changing game, only Li Qing defended Adkanai alone. For Adkanai's characteristics, Li Qing has learned from Brewster. He spent his childhood at Ajax, a famous European star-making factory, joining La Masia at the age of 12, but FIFA banned him from playing for Barcelona because the deal was deemed an irregularity, but this did not prevent him from receiving advanced football training in La Masia for 3 years until joining Corkby early last year. His technical characteristics are distinct, fast, explosive, strong breakthrough and inside cut shooting, and he chose to play for the Dutch national youth team. He was called Silaban by the Dutch media. Adkanai showed a confident smile and continuously pedaled a bicycle 2 meters away from Li Qing, in order to confuse Li Qing into taking the lead and making defensive moves. Unfortunately, Li Qing was not moved, and Adkanai was not discouraged. He glanced at the thin Li Qing, and said in his heart, "Let you see the breakthrough speed of the wind and electricity, copper wall iron wall card." "Use," Li Qing said silently in his heart. Between the electric flint, Adkanai gently flicked the football to the left on the outside of the instep of his left foot, opened the breakthrough angle outward, and then jerked the football towards the bottom line on the inside of the instep of his left foot. Li Qing, who uses the copper wall and iron wall card, has a real feeling of extremely rich defensive experience, and can easily judge the opponent's breakthrough choice from Adkanai's prelude moves. He reacted almost at the moment of Adkanai's first pick of the ball with his left foot, kicking hard with his left foot, and the powerful explosive force caused his body to move a small step to the right, narrowing the distance to Adkanai, and then extending his right foot while Adkanai swept forward with the inside of his instep, blocking the football he was waiting out of in place. Adkanai originally wanted to make a dashing sideline acceleration breakthrough, but was intercepted by Li Qing on the spot, but he continued to move forward because of inertia. Li Qing, who broke the ball, did not look back to mock Adkanai or stay, he arched his right foot to move the football forward. From defense to attack. Hasten! The fluorescent left-back George Johnstone tactically pressed forward, leaving Li Qing with a lot of room forward, and centre-back and captain Connor Masterson was a little overwhelmed, not knowing whether to grab or jam the breakthrough direction. By the time he realized something, Li Qing had dribbled the ball over the halfway line, and Brewster's midfield run attracted another central defender, Anthony Glennon, which was equivalent to saying that Liverpool under-18 captain Connor Masterson had to defend Li Qing alone. Neil Critcherley in the dugout and assistant Mike Garrity both looked intently at Li Qing, who broke through with the ball at high speed, and subconsciously exclaimed, "It's so fast." I saw Li Qing running at high speed and looked up at Brewster, who was following in the middle, and then picked up his left foot and gestured to pass the ball to Brewster, who ran from the middle to the left rib. Pass? Neil Creshery raised an eyebrow. No. Masterson's body moved half a step to the center with Li Qing's movement to cut off the passing route, but Li Qing's raised left foot did not pass the ball, but used the agility of his ankle to slam the ball to the right front on the inside of the left instep. Fake facts buckle. Can't let him pass. As the captain and the only remaining defensive player, Masterson kicked with his right foot and kicked Li Qing, who had broken through, with his left foot with the inertia and huge reaction force of the whole person. Stretching at his feet and kicking people with all his strength is a hammer sale for defensive players. Li Qing has been prepared, and his running after the smash is biased outward, which is equivalent to saying that he is farther away from Masterson. Masterson didn't kick anything, and could only watch Li Qing run towards the goal like a gallop. Anthony Glennon was drawn to the left rib by Brewster, and it was too late to fill in the space left behind by Captain Masterson. Goalkeeper Camille Graballa realized that he could only rely on himself, and he did not hesitate and chose to abandon the goal. Li Qing's vision is not very open, but he can see the goalkeeper rushing out of the box. He chose to be decisive. The inside of the instep of his left foot rubbed to the bottom of the football. The football quickly soared into the air. Camille Graballa, who just rushed to the line of the big penalty area, stopped in place depressed, looked up at the football flying towards the empty goal, chased after crashing into the snow-white net before shaking his head depressed.